So what's the deal with battle value? I'm working through some mailbag here, and this idea of battle value trying to create somewhat of a fair game. Now, I want to sidebar for a moment. Playing Chain of Command, World War II, historicals, DBA, DBN, and Chain of Command is a fantastic World War II rule set. I pushed that up to the channel here under the Chain of Command playlist. The rule set is so amazing that I've used other miniatures to play. I've taken my Warhammer 40,000 miniatures and used them with Chain of Command rules. It is an amazing, amazing rule set. Now, I framework that because the missions are often unbalanced. It's a historical rule set. This idea that we're sitting down and looking at history. We're saying this is the battle. And literally, we try to recreate the battlefield. We do some recon ahead of time of Google Maps and historical photos, what it looked like back then. And the idea is to recreate this and immerse ourselves in that moment and ask the question, with the luck of the dice gods, what would we do? What if we did this? What if we changed that? And same thing with my Romans and Napoleonics. But the idea is it's not always a fair fight, and most of the time it's not, depending on the battle, depending on the time frame. So you jump into modern war games, of which Battletech is, and certainly within the novels and the lore, you can recreate battles that are not fair. But pick up and play, meaning you get together and you play some Battletech, there's this idea of a currency where we're going to agree ahead of time. This is where battle value comes in. We're going to agree to ahead of time, this is the type of game we're going to play. Maybe we play a random map and we pick it ahead of time. Sometimes I'll do that. We agree to build our forces, pick your lances, pick your units. I've got a stack of about 30 hex maps under the table, like giant playing cards. We shuffle them up, and then just pull one out. Took a Vulcan, took a bunch of fire starters, took some Urbies for the lulls, and I drew a desert map to play on, right? It could happen. Anything could happen. But this idea of saying, okay, are we going to do total warfare, combined arms? Are we going to do air support? Are we going to do artillery? And we get a fair game, this idea of a fair game. Now, in terms of a fair game, this is the idea of battle value, and I am condensing things a little bit. Back in the day, you kind of balanced out the game where, yes, you and I are making different choices with what we're going to bring to the table, but there's this currency, there's this something that we can use, so it's about even. Early-wise, it was tonnage. You'd figure out how many tons did you want to play. And then you could sink that into like 2 assault mechs. You could sink that into an assault and some lights. You'd kind of build a lance of a heavy, maybe 2 mediums and a light. But that wasn't always as nuanced, because Battletech, as you know, there's a lot of different mechs. There's some really solid, well-rounded mechs like the Thunderbolt. There's some mechs that are good, but they push the heat. And they've got a couple of quirks like the Warhammer or the Marauder. You've got some mechs that are dedicated to a single role, like the Archer or the Longbow. And then you've got some mechs that they only excel at one thing, like the Vulcan. So taking a Vulcan in city fight with infantry and tanks, it's going to dominate. Taking a Vulcan mech and going back to that kind of desert map, I'm in trouble. So the idea of tonnage, it wasn't always quite as nuanced or quite as good how it worked out, but it was something. How many tons do you want to play? So then we jumped into CBills. That was another way. Usually my experience was the couple of times that we tied in some of the role-playing aspects, because Battletech is also a role-playing game. That's how immersive the narrative is. We would kind of do a hybrid role-playing game / Battletech game where you'd get the CBills in the role-playing game, and then when we went full-on tactical, you'd spend those CBills on mechs and equipping them and arming them and repairing them. So that was the currency. Then we get to battle value. BV1, BV2. BV2 is kind of the current one. It's been adjusted. So this idea that everything costs a battle value, the tonnage, the weapons, the equipment, the ammo. This is adjusted by pilot skill, gunnery skill, up, down, taking into certain quirks, other things to account, where you get a value for that piece on the table. It works as about as good as it's going to work. It's not foolproof, but at least it gives you a starting point. And whenever there's discrepancies in battle value, personally, I give it to my opponent. Because look, we're here to play Battletech. I'm going to do my best to win. I'm going to go for tabletop glory. I'm going to make it happen. Maybe I'll win. Maybe I won't. But if not, I'll see you next week. So if we're playing a 4K battle value game and you're 70 battle value over because these are the machines that you have where you're like, I really want to play this list, but I can't bring that battle value down. I've dumped the ammo out of everything to shave off those points and I just can't do it. Like, it's okay. I'm not going to be like, no, we agreed to this K and you're over, so you can't play your list. Like, because again, it's a framework. So now we jump into the clans, and the clans kind of blew Battletech battle value completely out of the water. It becomes even more of a sliding scale. So this idea in Battletech, can I condense the entire Battletech narrative into like a minute or less? You've got the start of Battletech, the Star League, super high tech, utopia. Then things go crazy. Dark Ages, Inner Sphere, fighting, technology is around, but do we understand it? Can we replicate it? Clans left a number of years ago. Everybody forgot about them. They maintained the tech level and they increased the tech level. They expanded the tech level. They come back and Inner Sphere mechs are just, it's like it's not even like World War II planes to World War I. It's like early jet age planes, 50s and 60s to World War I type planes. I mean, or maybe World War II. It's really crazy. It's really something else. And then, of course, tech becomes recovered and the Inner Sphere mechs get retrofitted and clan mechs become standard and battle armors everywhere. So trying to grapple with that tech narrative, with serious tech narrative, and capture that in battle value, the clans are very, very expensive. I mean, you kind of want to do an average game of clans, clan versus clan, trial of possession, or clans going against clans. You're like, all right, let's get a lance on the table. Excuse me, let's get a star on the table. I've got to work my terminology and not be Desgras. Let's do 8K. That'll get a star on the table. 8.5K, that'll get some battle armor. That's like a nice little battle group. You play against Inner Sphere, 8K, that's a lot of stuff. That is a lot of stuff. The Inner Sphere has to make up for the fact that you're going to be losing like a mech a turn. Has to make up for the fact, how do we deal with that? So the tech level, this is where things fall apart, or a little more sliding scale. The tech level for the clans is so advanced that if you're going Inner Sphere versus clans, to get enough clan stuff on the table, you're going to have a massive amount of battle value for the Inner Sphere. Now, if you're meeting halfway where things have been restored, the example that I like to use, a Stalker is an impressive machine. It's one of my favorite mechs. You're going to see me playing a Stalker. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to keep my tabletop glory under control. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to control my heat management and just not go absolutely crazy. But within that Stalker, when you rebuild or you restore that Stalker with lost tech, recovered tech, and clan tech and bring it back to what it could be, when you have a Stalker with ER lasers, when you have a Stalker with different engines, when you have it with double heat sinks, it becomes a beast. It is very potent. So what we see is if you upgrade your Inner Sphere mechs, post-invasion or looking at that, then the battle value, if you're playing 8.5, 9K battle value with clan mechs, but Inner Sphere's upgraded, the battle value system kind of scales to the same. So I say that within the framework, it's a currency. It's a way to try and come together and build a game other than just being like, look, pick 5 mechs and let's play. Oh, I picked all assault mechs and you picked a medium recon lance. I'm going to blast you off the table, right? It's a way to craft a narrative outside of a historical, outside of an attacker versus defender, a specific mission where maybe I say you're underpowered and I'm going to overwhelm you. Can you hold the line? If you hold the line for 5 or 6 turns, you win. That type of narrative game. But just you and I going head to head, Battletech, that is how battle value works. And I don't want to speak for the entire Battletech community because every meta is different. So take this within that framework, it has been my experience playing locally, traveling around for Battletech, and meeting players and playing with other players. Battlevalue is kind of the accepted go-to for communication. If you're able to build with Battlevalue and understand it, then you'll be able to fit in and slot in into any Battletech scenario or group, or likewise just adapt to whatever the local meta or the local customs may be.